So first you start out with a half a cup of boiling water. Then in a large bowl you'll add 2 cups of flour and a pinch or half a teaspoon of salt to the flour. Now, using your fingers, mix in the salt and the flour together before you add the water. And then once it's pretty well mixed in, you're ready to add the water to the flour. This is the boiling water we had boiled from before. Gradually add it in. Do not add it in all at the same time. Sometimes you don't know how much you might need, and you might end up adding too much, making the dough too wet, and this will be problems when rolling. So now just use your fingers and literally just rub in the flour and the water and gradually keep adding until the dough becomes pretty smooth and is able to form kind of a ball shape. So just keep on mushing in the flour and the water all together until it becomes very smooth and easy to work with. It will stick to your hands and it is kind of messy, and usually you'd want to use 2 hands, but of course I'm videotaping so I wasn't able to. And then finish off with the rest of the water and just kind of really knead the dough really good. You want to make sure that there's no chunks of flour anywhere. Okay. So then if you keep kneading it, you might end up having like dry chunks and there's not enough water. Go ahead and add extra water. The half a cup is just an estimate. Sometimes half a cup of water, of boiling water, may be too much, but sometimes it may not even be enough. So go ahead and add more water, as I said. But you'd rather want to have it more dry than more wet, because if it's too wet, it becomes way too sticky. So once you have proportional amounts of flour and water, go ahead and mix them together and knead it so well that it becomes very soft and forms its own kind of little chunk of dough ball thingy. I don't really know what to call it, but once you kind of get this looking shape, make sure it's really smooth. If it's sticky, you go ahead and add a little bit more flour, because you don't want it sticky because it will stick to the towel when it's wet, and it'll be really a pain to take it off and try to roll it out. So then once you have your perfected little piece of dough, go ahead and put it on a very damp towel. The purpose of this damp towel is because when we put it in the fridge, it will keep it very moist. If it isn't moist, it'll start to crack and be hard to roll out when it's time to cut the pot stickers. So as again, put it in your fridge for 1 hour. While you're waiting, go ahead and add the meat. I use ground turkey, but you can use ground beef, ground pork, or ground chicken. For a little sauce, for a little bit of a spice, I added some Worcestershire sauce and some curry powder that I got at Target. I also added a bit of the sriracha sauce. Literally, you can add whatever you want. If you don't like hot sauce, don't add hot sauce. If you prefer, this one's garlic and some ginger and some soy sauce, but if you don't like garlic, don't add it. Whatever you want to add into your pot stickers is your own choice. This is what I prefer. So then I also shredded some carrots and then chopped them up tiny, and that's what that is, and I'll add that in. And then I also chopped up some onions, and you want to chop up onions very finely because no one wants to bite into a pot sticker and have a giant chunk of onion in it. You want to have it very subtle. And that's along with anything. So now once you're finished with this, once again you're going to have to dirty your hands just like we did with the flour. And you could use a spoon if you really don't like to put your hands in raw meat, but the reason I prefer using your hand is it really allows the meat and the sauces and all the seasonings, as long as carrots and onions, to really mix together very well. However, if you use a spoon, you can probably get the same effect. It just might take you a little longer time, and for me it's a little more frustrating. But if you prefer, do whatever you prefer. So then once you're done, you should probably have this kind of like meatloaf looking deal. I use a spatula, just kind of pat it down and get it to go, just so it's kind of more compact. So while that's chilling, I rolled out the dough and with the rolling pin, and I put some flour down because it did start to stick. And to get the circle type, I have this really good cup that's about like 3 inches around, and you just kind of press that down. If you have a cookie cutter that's a circle, that would work great too. And you want to be very thin. If they're really too thick, when they puff up with steam when you cook them, they'll be really gross. So I'm going to put the camera down so that you can see how I fold them on the side. And now I took my meat out, and I'm going to get about a little chunk of spoonful and put it directly in the middle. And you want to put it directly in the middle because you don't want it seeping onto the sides.
What you mean?
Okay, so then just kind of put it in the middle and make it form a tiny little ball. And then, because I've added flour to it to roll it out, it has become very dry. So, as you'll see later in the video, I'm going to add some water around the edges so that the ends stick together very well. Don't add it all over or go crazy with the water because it'll become sticky and it'll start to break apart. So then kind of make it look like a hot dog and pinch the ends closed. Now with making an S shape, make an S and pinch and close. S, pinch, close. I'm sorry my hands just sort of in the way, but this is kind of one of those things that once you do it once or attempt it or just kind of try it out a little bit, you'll start to get the idea of how to do it.
날이나 무엇이 문제야 말해 내가 다 들어줄게 명령만 해 아리따운 캡틴 Take my hand, be my angel, ring my bell
가슴 설레이는 감정을 느껴 그대로 두 눈을 꼭 감고 끌리는 대로 How we go 틱틱탁 시간은 가도록 non-stop 멈추지 마 마음을 열어 Make it bounce
Make it better, make it better
Somebody to love Somebody to love 이긴 날 멈추게 I want somebody to love Somebody to love 이긴 날 가기 전에 When I say somebody then you say to love When I say somebody then you say to love Somebody to love Somebody to love Somebody to love Somebody to love 소리는 뭔지 알 수 없지만 내가 싫어서인지 날 모르지만 지금까지 못 느껴본 이런 감정 You need somebody to love to Somebody to love to
누군가와 헤어져 누군가를 또 찾아 누군가
Okay, so now it's time to start to brown the bottoms. The purpose of this, you want them on high. And the purpose of this is because you want, when you boil them, or steam them in other words, you want to make sure that they don't stick to the bottom. So once they start to brown on the bottom, then go ahead and move them around to make sure this heat is distributed evenly. I'm using canola oil so that it gets them to fry quickly on the bottom. You don't want them crunchy, but you don't want them, you know, just, it's kind of like a splash, quick little browning on the bottom. So that's pretty brown. You don't want them too dark. And just take them all off. Make sure they all been on at the same time because you want them all to be cooked about the same and you want to be evenly. So then finish cooking the rest of your pot stickers once they're all in. And you might want to turn the heat down just to avoid burning them because I've done that before and it's possible. So go ahead and keep adding those pot stickers in until they've all been cooked and they've all been browned in the bottom. Avoid crowding the pan because then they'll start to stick together and they won't all cook evenly. And so once they're all browned, then you are able to add a 4th cup of water. See, they're all browned, and then you'll add a 4th cup of water, and you'll put this on low. You want to keep it on low. If it's hot, they'll start to burn and stick, and it's no purpose in making them. That whole 4-hour process of making these is not worth it anymore. So once it's on low and the pan is not crowded, then put the top on, and your pot stickers are